Other things I wanted to touch on was the fentanyl you talked about. I live in the Midwest, and that's just an
Mm.
absolute scourge here in the Midwest. I mean, there's people overdosing every day. The the clinics, what do you call them? Where the recovery, I'm missing the word.
Methadone clinics.
Yeah, the clinics they don't seem to help. It's like, you know,
Brother, listen to this. My
yeah,
mother brought me into one when I was 4. She used to be a substance abuse counselor here in Long Beach.
hmm
And I'm like, Mommy, what is this place? She goes, I want you to look at heroin. So I come in and there's a guy. He's all strung out. And he look at me and he's like, look at me, little boy. And I'm like, I didn't want to look. I don't want to look. My
yeah,
mom's like, look at him. I'm like, Mom. She goes, no, look. I looked at him, this guy's face, I'll never forget, crazy looking guy. He's like, you see me, little boy? And I just turned around scared. I walked away. I looked up at my mom. I'm like, Mom, why would you? She goes, DJ, that's heroin.
yep.
And I looked at her and I go, okay. So what you're talking about, fentanyl, is about 100 times stronger than that.
hmm
So how do we how do we even contemplate or put that in as a standard when it's 100 times stronger than battlefield medicine in World War II?
Right, right.
So how is that done? And like how do we fight the standard to shift focus into healing instead of killing?
Sure. And you know what? I don't want to get political with it, but you can't there's no fighting big pharma companies. There's no, I mean, I don't want to mention the companies and stuff like, but I mean, there's just no fighting,
Right. They're too big,
they're too big. They have too much money. They're too powerful. Um,
right?
and, I have heard, on like Joe Rogan podcasts and stuff, people talking about, there's only two countries allowed to actually advertise prescription medications, and that's the US and New Zealand. And that's for good reason that countries don't allow the advertising. I mean, doctors are getting kickbacks for, giving
Right.
chemotherapy medicine that fails 97% of the time. It's just, I don't want to go down the political path, but the standard of care you talked about
Yep,
is, it definitely hits home because
for sure.
when I was going through my back issues, I went to a doctor who I told him I'm having big time disc issues, and it was just take a pill, take this shot. Oh no, get an X-ray. No, I don't need an X-ray. I need an MRI. I've got disc issues. That was like the fourth or fifth thing when I'm telling him that, and I'm not a doctor, they are, but I'm telling him this is what I'm feeling. I've had disc issues my whole life. This is just worse than any other one. And it's just one of those things where you got to make money off the insurance. Everybody's trying to scam somebody, and it's a shame.
And there's a lot of money to be made. And here's the thing: a couple of my friends are physicians, and they showed me the back end and the money that's made.
Yeah.
Brother, there's a lot of money being made anyway, and I
Mhm.
get it. But when you double, triple, and quadruple it for a sham job,
Yeah.
all right. So political stuff, we stay outside. But check this out: awareness is where we go.
Uh-huh.
So when we know that something's going on and it stinks, we let people know, and then we let them know that the show must go on and healing will take place. So even though the standard of care exists, we still have to operate within that standard. We just don't actually, it's like getting a menu. You don't order everything on the menu. It's just like what you want. And then if it comes and there's certain things you don't like with that plate, you don't eat. So it's that kind of thing. And that's what we do. We're educated consumers of this system. We use this system instead of the system using us. That's the difference. So, as educated consumers and using a system, we use it to benefit us and to help one another to find resources to not only advocate for ourselves, but for each other. So, like the number one epidemic out there, it's got to be addiction and it's got to be related to opioids.
Yep.
And in that, you have it going in all different directions with people making bad decisions, driving to domestic violence, to law enforcement getting involved with different infractions taking place. Like it's a problem. And where does it start? A lot of times with a acute injury or maybe a chronic thing.
Yep.
So there's other ways to go about it.